Revolution Now, the protest across the country, was clamped down. The government described it as unlawful and commended Nigerians that did not come out to join. And also, in July 2019, more than 230 people were killed due to security challenges Nigeria has been battling. How can we decrease these numbers? This is Plus Politics, and I am Maryann Okon. Following the crackdown on security operatives on the Revolution Now protesters yesterday, many Nigerians are asking, was the protest unlawful? What about the pro-Buhari protest in Abuja? Who was there to stop them? Well, recently, Femi Falana, SAN, has added his voice to the conversation. And of course, I am being joined to have this conversation with Abdulhamid Tunji. He is a legal practitioner. It's good to have you join us, Mr. Tunji.
Thank you.
And of course, we have Ngozi Akandu. He's also a legal practitioner. It's good to have you both in the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So we'll start by looking at the Buhari administration in general. Now, there's a report that is out talking about the fact that he was a major beneficiary from protests. There had been a lot of protests under previous governments that people in his party spearheaded, and nobody clamped down on them. There have also been pundits who have said that this administration has also somewhat tightened the noose on freedom. So I'll start with you, Tunji. What do you think about this analysis?
Yeah, I think the analysis is a bit correct in the sense that before now, there were protests. And I remember the former President Jonathan saying that when I leave, you will remember me for giving you the freedom to express your feelings. Because there was a lot of protests and there was little or no clampdown. The only clampdown I can remember was Ajota's protest, and that was after about 3 or 4 days of the protest, or 5 or more. That was the only clampdown. The President Buhari and the social groups or whatever, they all engaged in so many activities, and there was no any clampdown. And I think it is fundamental right of every Nigerian to protest. You have the right to protest if you are not satisfied with the government policy or anything, provided it's peaceful. And in protesting, the court has said that you don't need to seek approval
but the police keeps harping on it. I mean, we all watch TV when the police high command, or sometimes the police spokesperson will say, you need to seek approval from us or permits. In fact, we have it on tape.
You only need to inform the police so that they will give you protection if you need one.
But they say, I know that they use the word permit.
It's not permit. There's nothing like permit.
We have a clip.
If you talk about permit, you are talking about seek approval. That means
that's what it means.
All you need to do is just to notify them, and to provide you with security, and then do your.
So you're telling me, as a lawyer, that the police has no right to tell us to seek a permit from them before we carry out a protest.
There are judgments of court to that effect that says for you to protest, you don't need a permit or license or approval from the police before you can protest. What you need to do is just to inform them, if you wish, to inform them that you want to carry out a protest so that they will give you protection. If you don't need protection, you are sure that your protest will not lead to violence, you can go ahead. But if anything happens, you will be held responsible for that protest. That's where I see it. So it's a breach of fundamental right for anybody to be denied from protesting, provided that protest is lawful. But if you are protesting and it's now becoming a violent protest, the government has to come in. They can't sit down and they look at people. Because the duty of the government is to protect life of the citizen.
I will come back to that. Let's just put a pin on that. Coming to you, Barrister Akandu. We're in a democracy. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is supposed to be a democracy. And some of the benefits of a democracy is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which also includes protest. Now, we're looking at the tightening of the noose on the freedom of the average Nigerian under this administration. And the question is, do we really know what a democracy is, and are we really practicing it in Nigeria?
You know, protest is a fundamental aspect of a democratic government, a democratic setting. Without protest, by which you constructively, you know, criticize the government of their activities of the day, there can't be progress in the polity. Now, when you see a man at the helm of affairs, let us take our president, for example, who has come up and who is a very key beneficiary of the institution of protest, coming up to say you shouldn't protest. It becomes like the man who climbed through up a ladder and then pushes the ladder so that nobody else will climb through the same ladder that he climbed. It's not fair. It cannot be fair. And the question of having to seek permission or approval to protest shouldn't even come in. Because I've not seen a security agency that would say, yes, go ahead and protest against the government. You can't reasonably expect a security agency to say yes.
But do they have to give us a nod to go and protest? If we feel, we, the followers of a government, feel that a government is not giving us the due dividends of democracy or good governance, do we not necessarily have a right to do so?
Yes, I think that is why the court's decisions are to the effect now that you don't necessarily need that approval. Because you are free, as guaranteed by the Constitution, to express yourself, to gather peacefully, and so on and so forth. And as long as your gathering is peaceful, the government should just play the role of protecting you so that it doesn't degenerate or get out of hand. And as long as it's not getting out of hand, then you should go ahead and protest.
Now let's take our attention away from Nigeria for a second. Let's go to Uganda, where Yoweri Museveni has been leading since the 1980s. I don't want to be very specific, so I don't make a mistake on that. He's been there for a long time, and there's a certain law, a bill that was passed against protests in Uganda. And if two or three or more people were gathering and talking about political issues or even there to protest, of course, they will be arrested. Now, of course, we can say that Uganda is not necessarily practicing a democracy. But do we see Nigeria tilting in that direction with all of what has happened over the weekend into this week and what has been happening, even with the IMN and other protests that have taken place in Nigeria? Can we say that we're gradually going in that direction if care is not taken?
Most likely, but I want to say sometimes when we make a reference to a particular country, we forget to also look at their own law to see whether or not what we are complaining of or what we are saying is covered by their law. Sometimes we go to US and say, I remember when they are talking about the issue of National Assembly leadership, we are talking about this is in every state is a majority that always come to power, not looking at their own law there.
The political system is totally different.
I don't know the constitution regarding to Uganda, regarding fundamental right or whatever. I don't know what they have there. If their law does not allow that, yeah, they have the right to ban it.
But are the fundamental human rights not universal? Are they not universal?
Yes, they are universal. They are universal.
So why should a constitution of a country deprive the citizen of that country of that fundamental human right?
Yeah, if the constitution deprives you of that right and nobody goes to court to challenge the constitution, it stands.
And besides, if I may add there, you see, there are rights that are yours by virtue of the fact that you are a human being. And they are so fundamental that they even transcend laws. So if you begin to make laws that kind of, curtail those rights that should be available to you as a human being, it should be looked into. So when we say maybe Uganda has a law or constitution that curtails freedom of movement, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and so on and so forth, we cannot say because it is the law of the land, then it is right. Because the rights that are being curtailed by those constitution or those laws are fundamental rights that belong to us as human beings.
If we say laws are fundamental, and the laws are made in the constitution, that we consider as a grand norm, that we must follow, and nobody challenge that constitution, it stands. The issue of protest was there before. Before now, you must obtain permit. It was Ganifa Emi that went to court and said no. Adibi didn't go to court. We'll continue to date.
Was that not a carryover from a military regime?
You can't rule that out. You can't rule it out.
What I'm just saying, even if it happened at the time, we had not embraced the democracy. But here we are. We just celebrated Democracy Day a few months ago, and we are still talking about how free we can be in a state that is supposed to be democratic. Now, I want to come back to you. You said something about rights. For example, we have Omoyele Sowore in custody, and as we speak, it's gone past 48 hours, longer than the time that he should be kept. No statements have been issued to tell us why he's still in custody. Yes, you picked him up because you think that, it's a treasonable felony. But I'm trying to understand, should a government be able to preempt a protest such as Occupy, what's it called now? A revolution now?
Are you surprised?
I'm just wondering, why should you preempt something that has not happened, especially if the line? Let's not pay attention to the revolution word, which has been banded all week, all through the weekend into this week. Let's look at the good governance part of it. Is it not? Do you not think that it's natural for people to say we want good governance? What's wrong in asking for good governance, and why did the government think that it was going to be hijacked or it would turn to something evil or violent if the people are asking for good governance?
There's nothing wrong in asking for good governance. And I am not surprised that there's a clamp down on Sowore for trying to protest. I am not surprised at all. Dasuki has been in custody. The government said it's not because the law says so, but the government said we suspect that if we leave him, something will happen. The ex-Akaki has been in custody, not because the law says so, but because the government said if we leave him, it may cause trouble, which is not part of the law. No, it's not about suspicion. Suspicion, no matter how strong in law, cannot lead to confusion.
So you have to prove.
You have to prove. And this Sowore, I think to me, they just gave him more popularity. Even the revolution now will have died naturally without even this noise. What make it more popular was that arrest. If there was no that arrest, people would just go by minding their own business. They won't even bother. Only few people will be here, and they will be tired and they will go. I know Nigerians are not ready to protest it. And we are too carried away with sentiment and other things. So I think the arrest of Sowore gave that revolution now protest more credence, gave it more popularity, and it helped the agenda to be more popular. So I think the government should. The situation whereby the government would not want to hear the opposition or anybody talk against government, it's not good. You know what I've been saying is that, look, when you are being criticized, what you do is to look at what they are saying, whether it is right or wrong. Mm-hmm. If it's right, if you believe it's right, you take the one that is right from there. If it's wrong, you ignore it. It's not about preventing people from doing it. Some other people protested in favor of government.
You just took that out of my mouth. I wanted to say that my protest is better than your protesting. But before the Monday's protest, where you had people also protesting, pro-government protesters, we've seen this happen under this administration in the past 4 years, and it has trickled down. Every time you have people coming to protest about something against this administration, there are always people on the other hand also who are protesting for the government. Is it that there is no room in this government for criticism, constructive criticism, or Nigerians even asking for their rights?
I will not. It appears so, because it appears those around the president do not want to hear criticism. They don't want the government to be criticized. They don't want the government to be told the truth.
How do you assess yourself if you're not criticized?
That's what I've been doing in this country. The government in power have always been assessing themselves. They will give themselves pass mark when people are complaining, and they will say they are satisfied with their performance. And that's why we're not growing, because if you are satisfied with the performance, and when it's obvious that you're not doing well, you will not improve, because you are telling yourself, I'm doing well. Whereas you are not doing well. You know, the issue is this: until governments realize that, look, criticism is part of government. Criticism is part of the democracy. Criticism is part of effort towards development, that's when the country will grow. And I think this government attitude of not allowing people to hear their view publicly, I also query the certain statement credited to Sowore. Because if it's only the use of revolution now that we're talking about, you can be saying that it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that he meant violence. But they said he made some statement whereby he said they want to bundle the president out of the office. That is tantamount to saying you want to remove the president. But I don't see how that can happen. Would they go to Aso Rock and then say Mr. President leave the office, or they will not even be able to get near the office? That's why I say if the government had left them to do what they want to do without arrest of Sowore, this thing will die naturally. People will not be there. Only few people will join. Yesterday in Kwara State, people were not even aware that this protest was to go on. You know what people come aware? They want to do it at the stadium. I was in Kwara yesterday. I was at Lorry. As early as 6 o'clock, the police were already at the entrance of the stadium. Even those who want to go and do their training for football and other things, they were not allowed. So it was, those people were the ones standing outside. Those people were the ones that made people to realize that there was something was to happen here. There was no, I didn't see anybody there that said they are there to protest. Only those who want to play football. So if the government has not done what they have done, the issue of the revolution now will not have been popular as it is today. Okay. And I think the government should think otherwise. And by law, you can't just detain somebody without any evidence. You have to take him to court. And I think the government knows that if they take Sowore to court in this matter, they may not get any results. Because in law, in criminal matters, for you to be convicted, there must be intention, there must be actual truth. What we have now is assumed intention. There is no actual truth. Actual truth means physical acts itself. The mens rea is the intention to carry out to do the act. The active truth is the physical doing of that thing itself. That has not been done. It's still at the state of planning. So, and you can't get confusion.
Let's bring it home to the Nigerian people. He made mention of the fact that the average Nigerian doesn't care to protest. We're too sentimental. Either we're too hungry or we're just too tired from a hard day's job. Or we couldn't be bothered to lose the one that we have, a bed in hand, like they say. It's worth more than two in the bush. But those who go out for these pro-government protests, when we know the truth that certain things need to be addressed by government, but they steal it that way, whether they get money from certain people or not, allegedly, in quote. Are we not somewhat part of the problem? Are we not somewhat complicating the situation that we already have, which is bad?
Yeah, definitely. There is no way you would expect a perfect state. Even while we are, a lot of us are genuinely complaining about the situation on ground, you will still find people who, maybe because of one reason or the other, allow themselves to be maybe paid, to come out on the street and protest in contrast to, what I call the genuine protest. And you see, that brings to fore the tendency of Nigerians to always politicize things. Now, you may not even be able to know who is genuinely protesting and who is protesting as a result of having been paid. But I pity them. Because generally the
But what if, for example,
yes,
the headline for the protest is indeed genuine? You feel it, I feel it. Should that not be enough of a nudge to join or add your voice?
But you see, we shouldn't give up hope. Let me tell you something. I was just thinking about the Russian Revolution. There was it has been sung and sung and sung and sung over time. And then one day, the thing that sparked it off was a very little thing. So let's not just throw away the hope that maybe it can't happen or that there is no redemption or whatever. It happens by trickle by trickle. People are dissatisfied.
I'm sorry to butt in, but do we need a revolution for us to be able to speak to the people who lead us to correct mistakes or even be deliberate about serving us? Because as we speak right now, it looks like we're people on our own and we have nobody governing us or nobody listening to our problems or addressing our problems. Okay, we may change the term revolution. Sometimes when we talk about revolution, you think that maybe somebody's going to carry a knife and kill somebody. Well, that's because of Sowore's problem, I guess. Revolution could be peaceful. Revolution is an expression
as an expression of the will to change a system for the better. It could be peaceful, it could be violent. Maybe when you want to talk about violence, you cannot talk about rebellion. But when you say revolution, it doesn't necessarily have to translate into something, violent or something warlike. Revolution is the desire to change a system so that people can begin to benefit more from it or something like that. But they will interpret it. I don't know where they read that.
They are using the literary. No, if you look at the literary definition of a revolution in our constitution, it talks about violence, it talks about undemocratic, unlawful, anything that has to do with violence. That's what it talks about. That is literary definition. Like you said, I want to agree with you. Revolution does not necessarily mean violence. Revolution does not necessarily mean you want to do something that is not proper or that is illegal. What revolution means, you want something done differently.
Or it means change.
But today now, the government has decided to stand by the definition which talks about violence. And that's why they are saying he wants to do revolution. He wants to uproot the government. I don't know whether they have gone. For you to uproot the government in this country, you have to take over the army headquarters. You have to take over the police headquarters. You have to take over the Aso Rock. You have to take over. I don't know whether they have this capacity, and I don't know whether they have shown that they have the machinery or any other thing to do this thing. I think they were just talking, and they want to do protest. They want to carry placard. Placard cannot be violence, but because when you in Yoruba they say when you want to burn somebody, that somebody now put fire, petrol in his body, and then stand before fire. It'd be easy for him to be burnt. So that's what they have done.
Let's also talk about the media, because we are also part of this situation. Again, talking about tightening the news on freedom, there are certain things that are no-go areas for journalists in Nigeria. There have been several bills that have been pushed, even by the National Assembly, that somewhat wanted to silence the media, and the media has been against it. Yes, the media is not perfect. There have been cases where stories were not well put out, or social media also with its fake news. But what role can the media play in also serving as the voice of the people, other than this show that we're doing, to help the government? Because it looks like the cries of the people are not coming up to the government, or maybe they're literally not hearing us, or they do not want to hear us. But is the media also playing a role in pushing these rights or giving people a voice via news coverage or current affairs? Is there a way that the media can play a role? Because it seems like the Nigerian media is not as strong as it used to be.
Unfortunately, the media in Nigeria are like other arms of government, apart from the executive, that have been cowed. Because I know that most time when you call into a station or TV program or radio program, they talk about don't go there. We can't allow you to say that. Where's the evidence? It is and that. I don't believe there should be if you have an issue, in as much as you are not abusing, you are not using foul language, you are just saying something, they will cut it off. They say, no, that's an allegation. But if the government is making an allegation, they will report it finally, and there won't be any issue of it's an allegation. They will report it as if it's normal. But if you are raising an allegation as a citizen, they will cut you off. They say you are raising an allegation. So as much as we Nigerians try to agree that there should be a control as to what the media should say or what they do not say, the media cannot perform. They cannot perform because they will be worried of, if I say this, they will clamp down, they will shut our station and we will lose money and nobody will support us. Until we are given the freedom to say, okay, in as much as you are not using foul language, in as much as you are not using languages that are not continental, in as much as you are not using your media to blackmail or do bad thing, you should be allowed, you should be free to say everything. That is when the media will be able to do their job the way it should be done. As it is today, I won't lie to you. Medias are part of our problem because they are not allowed to do what they are supposed to do. And sometimes, particularly print media, when they are putting out their headline, they put fake headlines. They will not say that's what will sell paper. I don't believe that. That's misleading. You mislead me into reading the paper. Some people will not even read the content. They will only read the headline. And the headline, when you read the headline and you go to the content, there will be different thing. They now tell you, that's just the practice. You just to sell paper. I don't believe in that. Let's say things the way they are.
I wouldn't want to completely throw away the media.
Yeah.
Even they are working in a very stifling environment as far as this country is concerned. They're working in a very stifling.
But it's a democracy.
But I'm not here to. Yes, but I'm not.
Should we be working under this kind of
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way, but I'm not here to advertise any media company or whatever. But I still want to commend a few of them who every now and then, go out of the cocoon,
If you advertise any, we'll give you
and they say one or two things.
You give us a check.
But I've been reading through the papers. I also listened to some radio stations and so on and so forth. Some of them could be very bold to say things. During the military era now, there couldn't be any more stifling environment than the military era. Forget what is happening now. It only reminds us of the military era. What is happening now?
During the military era, people protest.
During the military era, there were very, very vibrant and vibrant citizens who were very outspoken.
So what happened to the morale? Does it get dampened as we get from military into democratic? Have we decided to rest on our oars? What exactly is the problem?
I think these days we are more of ethnic sentiment and religious sentiment than any other thing. Those days, the ethnic sentiment and the political sentiment were not as high as this. Today we are divided, basically on ethnicity and religion. We are more.
Our problems are all the same.
Politics.
Our problems are
even when you belong to the same party.
If I'm experiencing bad governance, you also are experiencing it one way or the other. If I have no electricity, you also don't. If I have bad roads, you're experiencing the same thing. So if our problems are all the same, why are we still being divided?
I know some people who is supporting this government, not just because of anything. I am a Muslim. Just because President Buhari is a Muslim. That's how some people are supporting. No, whether he's doing right or not. I tell them, look, if I have a Muslim as a brother and he's not doing well to support my cause, why should I follow that cause? If I have a Christian that will better my cause, why can't I follow that Christian? Why should we be dwelling on whether he's a Muslim, he's a Christian, or he's an Hausa, he's an Igbo, or whatever? Until we, the major revolution that we need to do in this country, that will change this country, is a revolution of our attitude. We need to change Nigerians. Yes, we need to change ourselves. Otherwise, no matter how, no matter how many number of revolutions that we want to do, nothing will change.
Okay, I want to say thank you to you, gentlemen, for speaking with us. Abdulhamid, I beg your pardon. Tunji, thank you very much, and Ngozi Akandu, thank you very much. But they're not going anywhere. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be speaking about the amount of people that were killed last month due to the insecurity in Nigeria. Stay with us.